Hey everybody, I am Trever Wilson, second year MFA Stage Management student. I'm back again this week to let you in on some more of our process from Mary Poppins, the show that we stopped rehearsals mid-steam. We paused because of spring break and then we stopped permanently because of the scary, crazy situation that is coronavirus and the pandemic. Well, that hasn't stopped us from being able to share our wonderful work with you all, as you've noticed on our Facebook page here at Wayne Theater and Dance. They've been putting out more and more content. It's starting to get more and more creative, and we're seeing a lot more new videos and also, stuff about what we were working on. Specifically this week, there was the cast of Mary Poppins doing a lip sync to Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I hope you all enjoyed that. So with this week, with last week, I talked about the pre-production of what stage managers do, kind of some more paperwork, and this week I am going to transition into the production side of things. Well, what does production mean, really? Production is us going into our first rehearsal. Once you hit that first rehearsal, you're full steam ahead. You are getting things up on their feet, getting things blocked, getting things choreographed, teaching, singing, rehearsing, practicing, getting things memorized. That's where you start moving into production for the rehearsal room. Obviously, moving into production for the scene shop is different. That means things are starting to go out onto the build floor, or for the lighting crews, things are starting to get hung up in the air. And the costume shop is starting to actually build the costumes. So the build process for this show has been different, or the production process for this show has been different for each area of design. For stage management, we don't really start our design or our production process until rehearsal number 1. So with rehearsal number 1, what does that bring? Well, for Mary Poppins, it brought our first big sing-through. So first night, everybody in the cast is called. We had 37, I believe, cast members. And that first night, we get everybody up on their feet. We give them a big old warm-up to get them vocally warmed up, so everybody's instruments are flowing and everything is happy. They voice match. Basically, they get everybody put into their different voice parts. Altos, sopranos, basses, tenors are the 4 big ones. And then once they get everybody voice matched, we started singing through the entire show. This gives the music director and the vocal director a chance to gauge where the cast is at. Usually the cast has had their script for at least a week leading up to the first rehearsal, some of them much longer than that. And so it's just an opportunity for everybody to kind of get on the same page musically and figure out what needs the most work, where do we need to focus our energy, and what things are actually kind of good and we just need to refine. That was our first rehearsal. That's the big monumental day 1. Not a traditional day 1. Our traditional day 1 happened to be on day 2, because that's how our schedule worked. Our day 2 came with the start of designer presentations. Designer presentations are when all of the design production team members come into rehearsal with the cast and let them in on what the plan is, what the goals are with their designs, and how what the work they've done is going to help assist the work that their cast is going to do in rehearsals, and how ultimately what it's going to look like when we're up on stage. So with that, we had our marketing team come in and give them a big spiel about what their goals were, what type of their avenues they were going to go down, things like billboards, actual just like bus signage or virtual advertising, and like what they were going to need from the cast to help do that. What footage they were going to need to get from rehearsals or in the photo shoots where we were going to have to set up. And then we had our scenic designer, Sarah Perline, come in, and she brought in her model box of the show. So that's her model that she made of the actual scenic design. And she showed that off to the cast and talked them through how the scenic design works, how we planned for a second balcony, how it was going to wrap all the way around, how things were going to fly in, what things were going to roll in, and where different things and scenes were going to take place based off of how she designed it. Then we also had our costume designer, Mary Copenhagen, come in. She brought all of her hand-painted costume renderings. So she had like 25 sheets of paper that had 4 to 6 people on it, on each sheet, with different costume renderings. And the best part about this is the shop builds the costumes off of what Mary drew. So what the cast is that everybody is seeing right there with that costume rendering is exactly what they're going to be wearing. So these are really helpful for the cast to get insight of what their character is going to look like on stage, and can help influence some of their decisions that they're going to make in the rehearsal process. And then you have the other scenic elements like lighting and sound and props, who are not very visual until you get into the space. It's not like they can bring in a lighting setup to a rehearsal room and be like, this is what it's going to look like. So they usually bring in a couple pictures to kind of show them what the goals are and kind of what their inspiration was drawn from. And they just kind of talk through their design with the cast. Then the cast has the opportunity to directly ask questions to any of the designers about, how does this work? What did you think of this? How'd you come up with this? And they all talk through that, and then we move in transition in that same rehearsal to our first read-through of the show. That's the first read-through. We strictly did a read-through of the show. We did not sing at all when we read the show. Our director chose to do that because it gives everybody a chance to actually understand and hear the words of the song, though sometimes they don't quite grab that when they just sing it through. And it gave everybody the opportunity to just sit in one big circle, look at each other, and hear the lines coming from the people that they're going to be coming from. And so yeah, what a big monumental first 2 days of rehearsal. Not every rehearsal is monumental like that. You know, the first big sing through, first big read through are big monumental days and rehearsals. We do have some others that we were going to come up across, such as the first full run of Act 1, the first full run of Act 2, the first full run of the show. And one of the other big monumental days is the designer run. We did not get to that in this process because of when we halted, but the designer run is when all the designers come back into rehearsal and watch a run of the show. So they know, oh, this is where this scene is actually ending up taking place. Oh, this is what this scene actually looks like. We do rehearsal videos of different snippets, so the designers can reference them when they're looking at things, and the cast can reference them when they're rehearsing things on their own time. But that designer run is a good opportunity for everybody to be in the same space, watch the same show, and ask questions and figure out exactly what's going on, what everybody's planning, as we start to move further into the process. Not every day is monumental. Most days are pretty generic when it comes to rehearsals. Generic being, we focus on like maybe 6 things, maybe 1 thing, and we work on that 1 or 2 or 4 things for the entire rehearsal. One such example is step and time. Step and time is a big number for the production, and for our production in particular. We spent 4 evenings on it by the time we stopped rehearsals. That meant we spent over like 10 hours on that one musical number. So why don't you guys take a quick look at this video I've got of Step in Time in the rehearsal reminder. This is just rehearsal. This is nothing that we were actually going to put on stage, but this is just the big stepping point for what we were going to show you.
Stepping
I hope you guys enjoyed that video clip from rehearsal of Step in Time. We wish we could have brought you that show in its full grandeur, but the world is what it is, and we all have to react and adapt to that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video, and I hope you guys return for more videos of my own and from everybody else. Next week, I will be talking about the rehearsal process and what stage managers actually kind of do during that rehearsal process and the type of paperwork we create. See you guys.